Hello, and go after. Welcome to Sportsball Rastafari, a show that provides answers to viewer-supplied questions from a modern-day Celtic Norse shaman here in South Central Alaska. Be sure to tune in each Wednesday night when the shaman answers questions from viewers like you. Come on, let's hear what the shaman is answering this week. Someone's little girl, daughter, sister, girlfriend, fiance, wife, cousin, mother, auntie, grandmother, great-grandmother, elder, disappears, shattering, a family, a community, the world. There is something we can all do. Remember them. Leave it with that.
Hello, my friends. Hello. As you can tell, we are outside today, out enjoying the sunshine, what there is here in Anchorage. So welcome to Sportsball. Tonight we have a wonderful topic that I hope that you will stick around for, because it's hopefully going to help you find that better mental space. As always, for those of you who are following the show, thank you so much for your subscriptions, your follows, your likes, all of those things. For those of you who haven't had a chance, now is a great opportunity to hit that button and to ring those bells and to make sure that you are part of our circle, of the circle that's distributing a message of hope and peace all around the world. And for those of you, I also want to give a huge shout out to my friends and family. Let's see, I'm new on this screen. There we go. To New Reality TV, newrealitytv.com, of course, is a streaming channel dedicated to a plethora of spiritual perspectives that hopefully can offer you some insight as to some of those things that you may be struggling with, you may be finding yourself in conflict with. So hopefully there's something there for you that will resonate with you and help you get through that. As always, if you're not familiar with Sportsball is a show that's dedicated to questions that you've asked me. So go to our website, aka Ulf Hefner, or NorseWhispers.com. There you can scroll all the way to the bottom, look to the left, and there'll be a big orange button that says Ask Me a Question. Do so. Ask me a question, and if I make a show out of your question, I'll send you a free, where is it? There it is, t-shirt for you to wear and keep. No cost to you. I'll put it in the mail as soon as the show is cut and we are on our way. So you'll get a free t-shirt out of the deal. So hopefully that's some enticement to come and check out the show, and by all means ask those questions that you're struggling with. For those of you who may have a few extra coins in your pocket, by all means feel free to hit up our support site. It's available on our website, NorseWhispers.com. There you can pop up the menu and support our effort. You can go there and make any donation you want, large, small, it doesn't matter. Whether you want to do it one time or monthly, or maybe just provide a tip for the show, you could do that at streaming or streamlabs.com. So check those out as well. All right, enough admin. Let's talk about tonight's topic. And tonight's topic is the energy. is the management of who you are and why you are the way you are. Well, this is going to be kind of a history lesson at the same time as we're going to talk about what we experience every day. Well, let's talk about firstly the history lesson. The history lesson starts back about, depending on which group of scholars you talk to, it could be anywhere from about 54,000 years ago to 159,000 years ago, when the human race, or the bipedal human race, anatomically modern human, left Africa and began its migration across the lands of the time. Many different routes out of Africa, leading some left going north through into Europe. Some went kind of north east there up into the mountains. There are particularly the Mongolia and the Altai steppes there, that area. And then there was another branch that kind of moved along the coast to the south, and ultimately wound up splitting over by what is Pacific Ocean today, but back then it was kind of one big lot, and some of them took a right and they wound up being called Australians or Aboriginal people, and then the group that took the left, of course, became what we know to be the Far East, or the Japanese, the Chinese kind of cultures. So they all kind of stemmed in that direction. Now we look at these people today and we go, wow, they are so different. Why are they so different? Well, they're so different for a bunch of different reasons. Primarily, they're different because of the foods they ate. Their diet really dictated their physical form development, and how that physical form came to be all came from this idea that we were putting some kind of energy into our body, and that energy was then converted, and that converted energy then moved our nerve signals from point of contact into our brain and back again. So in a nutshell, 100,000 foot view, if you will, that's essentially how people came to be, is how different people came to be. We all started at the same place. We all started with the same group of bipedal AMH, or atomically modern humans. They're in north central-ish Africa, and those people then migrated across the world to become what we know today to be the human race. Again, as they moved through the lands, whether it have been across the barren lands to the Altai steppes, whether it be through the lush forests of Europe at the time, going north into Europe, and ultimately up along that ridge of Scandinavia, and then across the water to Iceland, Greenland, and ultimately North America. At the same time, you have others that have gone east from Africa, and they have traveled along the southern border there of the water, and they have continued. Some, like I said, some took a right, became in this land that we call Australia today, and some took a left, and they would become the peoples of the lands there in China, and ultimately the island of Japan as well. But they would continue to migrate, and they would go up over this thing called the Beringia Land Bridge, and that Beringia Land Bridge would then lead them into what is today, North America. And at the same time, you've got other groups going around the Beringia Land Bridge using this newly developed thing called boats, or hollowed out logs, call it what you will. Nonetheless, everybody kind of wound up where they are, and their physical forms developed on two main energies. The first we've already talked about, and that was the foods that were available at that location, whatever it was. If they were closer to the sea, it might have been a little bit more seafoody. If they were more further inland, they were probably working more on venison and grown vegetables and fruits and whatnot. And so all of these things provided some level of energy within the physical form that altered our DNA and altered our physical forms for future generations. And that's how we had this concept called evolution. At the same time, we're receiving this energy from the fruits and the vegetables and the meats and whatnot. We're also receiving energy from the surroundings, from the trees, from the grasses, from those animals that we're consuming. All of this spiritual energy is passed to us as well. And our physical form kind of knows, hey, we're kind of like a radio antenna in that way. We're going to absorb this energy, and now what are we going to do with it? Now, thousands of years later, we have this idea that as we receive energy, sometimes that energy focuses on a particular emotional state. So if we're kind of angry, but we're not really angry, we're just angry. And we get this bolt of energy from wherever it comes from. Bolt of energy comes shooting through us. That exacerbates the anger energy, even though the energy that's coming to us is neutral in its foundation. It hits that negative point in our lives and just exacerbates it, just blows it up. And so we go from being angry to really angry, right? Or conversely, we go from being Marvin Milquetoast to something happening, and that energy is funneled through our happy gene, and poof, we're as happy as a lark, and everything is great, and it's wonderful, and life is good. So it's just a matter of where that energy strikes. Now, many might say, wow, that's pretty random, and what do we do here? Well, the good news is that we can manage it. We have the controls. We have the knobs. We can dial in what energy we want to receive and what energy we don't. This is called accept or deny. And we have that power. We have this thing called an aura. The aura is kind of this invisible field around us. And for those of you who are maybe knowledgeable in some electric theory, well, there is this same thing on electricity, say a power line. A power line has a field that's being generated around it. It's called the EMF, or the electromagnetic field. And it's it's an invisible field. You can't see it. But if you put your hand in it, you can feel it, right? Now, it may not electrocute you, per se, but you can nonetheless feel the energy that's in the wire. Not all of it, obviously, but nonetheless, you get the idea. That's what's contained in the EMF. Well, in much the same way, you, as a physical form, have a similar field that's created around you with your energy. So if you have a lot of bioelectricity going on in your system, that's going to create a field. Now, you have two processes that are going to control this field. The first is the chaos that's going on in the mind. When the mind is very convoluted and it's having a hard time thinking, and it's thinking about way too many things, and just you're overwhelmed sometimes, the aura can become very cloudy. It kind of gets a fog in it, so it's hard to see through it. Well, energy transmits between point A and point B at the same rate that a light beam does. So light, when it's shooting straight through a glass bulb, as an example, we'll use two light bulbs, and we have one light bulb that's clear, right? Just clear as a bell. You can see the filaments real clear, and then when they turn on the light is very bright. It's very stark. And that's because there's nothing interrupting that light signal coming to you. On the opposite side of that coin are the light bulbs that are frosted. And the frosted light bulbs now, the same amount of light, same amount of energy, same amount of everything is being passed through this frosted light bulb. And now the light is just scattering, right? It's just, and it's a little softer, and it's not as powerful. Well, that same idea applies to your aura, right? So if our auras are clear and our mind is at peace, we're calm, we're ready, energy from the spiritual realm passes from the spiritual realm directly to us. Man, it's a straight shot. And we get the whole energy stream, right? We get all of the energy included in that stream. So, super cool. On the other side of that coin is you have the frosted, or when our aura becomes cloudy because of mind processing. We just got so much going on. So we're just processing. And our aura becomes very cloudy. And so now energy coming from the spiritual realm into the self gets scattered. It's just dissipated. And yeah, we still get energy, but yeah, it's only a fraction of what we could have got if our auras were clear, right? Same thing applies, right? So this is a methodology at which we are absorbing energy, not only from the foods that we eat, not only from our sensory input, right? Our sights, our sounds, our smells, our tastes, our touches, but we're also receiving all this energy from the environment just around us, right? So it can be the universe. The universe is constantly moving energy. Mother Earth constantly emitting energy, right? So all of these things create and broadcast, distribute, emit energy, and we absorb it. Have you ever noticed, as an example, when you're in town, busy town, and you're in downtown, we'll say, it's a real busy day, real busy, and you kind of have this feeling, you have energy, right? You're feeling energy, but it's so scattered. It's just, you're trying to put it all together, and it's very hard. Well, that's because you're dealing with a lot in the aura, right? Not only your aura, but others' auras. And so the energies get really convoluted, right? So conversely, when you're out and you're on a hike and you're away from town, you're up in the foothills, and it's a beautiful day, and you and maybe just a close friend are on a walk together, and it's just you and nature. And you feel, it's almost like you feel something missing. It's like, what happened? Well, the reason you're feeling that is that now the energies are a little bit stronger because they're not so convoluted. So now you've moved away from the frosted light bulb and you've moved to a clear light bulb. So very kind of a different model, but nonetheless, this is kind of the advantages of managing, or at least understanding, the energies that we're going to receive in our everyday life. Now, some energies, got to remember, some energies are converted by the human mind. So if I receive neutral energy from the universe, it feels wonderful, it feels great, but I'm in a really bad mood. I'm just not happy for whatever reason. Humans convert neutral energy to negative energy, right? So humans are the only place in all of existence that this occurs. It is the only place, it is the only instance that you can actually get negative energy is from humans. So in much the same way, I'm having a really bad day, I get this energy, I multiply it exponentially, and I emit it. I emit it out to what's around me. The people around me then absorbed that energy, and all of a sudden, maybe they were in a really perky mood, and now they're not so perky anymore. They're just ho-hum, right? Because we have three states. We have positive and light energy. We have neutral energy, which is universal, all-knowing, all-being energy. And then we have negative energy, which is the human mind converting things in a perversive way, right? So it's no one benefits from negative energy, right? So if we're in a very positive mood and we get hit with a negative, we're going to come down to a neutral. We keep getting hit with the negative, then we're going to become negative, right? Conversely, if we're negative and we get hit with a neutral energy, it moves, but not very much. It's not until we get hit with a positive energy that we move to neutral, right? And then we keep getting hit with that positive energy, and poof, before long, we're positive as well. So this is really the whole kind of idea of, certainly all my friends and family at New Reality, but anyone who's teaching your spiritual path. This is what we're trying to say, is that the more that you're around positive people, you're accepting positive energies, the more we're moving from any negative energies up through neutral to positive. And so we're kind of creating a positive energy within you. We're helping you to convert that energy, because just like the human mind able to convert energy from a neutral or positive to a negative, so too can we convert a negative to a neutral or a positive, right? So we have the control. We can always do that, right? We always have the authority up here. You can make that decision anytime you want. If you're tired of being sad, you're tired of being mad, you're tired of being upset, you're tired of being frustrated, don't be. And I know a lot of people are going to criticize me about that and say, well, that sounds a lot easier than, or it's said a lot easier than it is. Not really. We make it that way. Realistically, it simply is a change of perspective. So, as an example, if you are at the eye doctor, I was just at the eye doctor not that long ago and learned a very valuable lesson while the doctor was giving me my little eye test there. And what do when they're testing your eyes? You know, you look at the little chart, right, and you can see the letters, and then they cover up one eye, and they say, all right, now what do you see? You know, and so you're still looking at the letters, and you're telling them what. So all right, that's good. Now cover your other eye. Okay, and now and here's the letters. Right? What happens when I change? My perspective changes, right? So instead of now looking essentially from this direction, if I cover this eye, now I'm looking at this direction, right? So it changes, and it's that much of a degree of perspective change that can alter our outlook. We don't have to go to a little rosy bud of sunshine and lollipops. We simply have to alter the negative into a neutral, and we have that authority. We can do that. Right? So, as we think about the question ultimately is, what energies change us? And the answer to that really is all energy changes us. It changes us in one direction or another. I think of my life, going all the way back to my youth, even all the way back to my infancy. If I go all the way back, and I'm going to see my path kind of go up, down, up, down, and then down, and then up, and then over, and then plateau, and then up maybe, and then down a little bit. There's no straight path, right? So we're being altered as we go, okay? And that's okay. That's how we learn, and most importantly, that's how we experience different emotions. And the emotional energy, of course, is another one of those big energies that we're going to have and we're going to experience throughout our lifetime that will alter our perspective. And so understanding emotional energy is as critical as any of the others. But ultimately, living our lives in an understanding of these energies that are arriving and how they're going to deal and what I'm going to deal with. Because again, as I mentioned before, we always have this idea of deny. We can just, no, I don't want that. Or, come on, I want that. Yeah, come on, bring me that, right? So we can deny any energy. If somebody's, I used the example quite a while ago. It's been a decade now, but quite a while ago I left the Christian church to to follow what I felt called to follow, and learned about my god Odin and Freya and Frigg and Balder and all the others. I learned about their energy and learned about their influences to me. But as I left the church, there was anger and bitterness. And I mean, to the point where my shield maiden actually had received death threats. I know. My point is their energy that they were focusing on, driving to, certainly to my family, was that of converted energy of love and harmony and peace to this hate, to this negative, dark energy. And it was, I would say, it was probably one of the most, if not, one of the most difficult times in my life, where I really had to evaluate my deny and had to say, I've respected this individual for many, many years when I was with the church. I respected their opinion, I respected their views, I respected everything about them. Yet, here they are, and I'm seeing a very different picture of them. I'm going to just deny that energy. I'm going to just ignore them. And just not allow their spoken word, my vision, not allowing that energy to come into my body. I'm just, nope, not dealing with it. No. And it really gave me some enlightenment as to me being in control, being able to say, no, I don't want that. I choose to be happy and inquisitive and learning and loving and harmonious. I choose those things. I don't want that energy. All right, so just keep it over there. We're good. Thank you. Have a nice day. And so that was one very, very important lesson that I would carry with me until this very day. It simply said that even I, as quote-unquote simplistic a guy as I am, I had the authority and the just the understanding that I could deny energy. I could deny certain things that I just didn't want. I didn't want in my circle. And so I hope that you take away the lesson that you too have this power. This is not a superpower. This is not something that I had to go sit out in the wilderness for 40 days and figure out. This is literally something that we're going to use every day, every minute of every day in some cases, where you have people who are coming at you with negative energies, just negative, toxic. And you can deny it. You can just say no. All right, my friends, I hope I've enlightened you. I hope that I've entertained and appeased some of your curiosity about energy and how it's absorbed and how it's used. I also hope that this show enlightens you and does provide you with the questions that you want to know, because as always, if you visit the website, NorseWhispers.com, scroll all the way to the bottom, look to the left, there's a big orange button. Hit that button, ask your question. If I make a show about it, you get a free t-shirt out of the deal. So it's a win-win. And in the meantime, I hope that you've had a wonderful Wotan's Day and that you will continue to enjoy understanding our life's experience and just what a wonderful gift it is to be alive, to be living this physical life and having these emotions. So I hope that all is coming well. And finally, I will see you bright and early tomorrow, 7 o'clock a.m. Alaska time, where we'll be talking about the strength of Thor and how we apply that to our thought process. Because not only was he brawn, but he was also very smart and very set. So he could lock his jaw on a particular situation or thing that needed to be done and get it done. So wonderful example for our mental fortitude. So hopefully you will join me tomorrow. Again, that's 7 o'clock in the morning, Alaska time. So we'll hopefully see you there. In the meantime, check out my website, NorseWhispers.com. Until then, my friends, love and light and fulfillment.